Hey guys, you're watching Matt the Musketeer, and today I have some Crysis 3 multiplayer gameplay for you. Now this is of course the open beta that started today across all three platforms, and I am actually playing it on the PC here, and I'm playing it in ultra settings and the very highest settings you can do for this game. So this is this game looking as sexy as it possibly can. As you can see here, the scenery and the graphics do look very impressive, but that is nothing new to the Crysis series. We've all come to get used to Crysis pumping out some really nice looking graphics and CGI and stuff, so that's nothing new. Now I was lucky enough to actually have the alpha test for this game, so I have played about a week of Crysis 3 previous to the open beta starting, so it was pretty interesting coming back to the beta and seeing the differences and the changes that have been made since we played the alpha. Now the game mode that you can see me playing here is called Crysis, and it's very similar to Capture and Hold. Randomly, different locations around the map, alien pods will crash during the game, and you have to get to those locations before the enemy and capture them. And if you do capture them, you have to hold them, and if the enemy capture them first, you have to destroy them. So it's very similar to a Capture and Hold game mode. Now, similar to Crysis 2, the two opposing sides are the Cell Unit and the US Marines, so that hasn't changed from Crysis 2. And the beginning weapons that you start out with, as you can see me using in this video, are the same weapons that you acquire at the start of Crysis 2 multiplayer. Now the mechanics of the game are very similar to Crysis 2. You have the ability with your suit to increase your armor, which makes you a little more resistant to bullets but also a little bit slower, and the ability to make yourself invisible, both of which have a very short lifespan depending on the amount of battery life that your suit has, or the amount of power that your suit has. And the more you run around and the more you jump will also decrease the length of time that you can use these abilities. Now these add an interesting aspect to the game that makes it stand apart from things like Battlefield, Medal of Honor and Call of Duty, having to use the tactics of when to use your armor and when to use your stealth. And of course it does bring up some aspects of sometimes you do find people playing a little bit like a knob, using the stealth and just sitting in the corner and camping, and using the advantage of being invisible to camp even heavier. So sometimes it's a bit questionable how and when you use those abilities, but it does add an interesting twist to the first person shooter style. A new interesting feature to the game, as well as the weapons that you earn and attain as you level up throughout the multiplayer, there are also alien weaponry lying around within the map that if you can get your hands on, can give you a real distinct advantage on the battlefield. Now whilst I was playing the alpha, I did notice a distinct problem that still seems to be present within the beta, and that is with the dead zoning. Now I've noticed from watching the kill cams every time I get killed that it seems that a lot of other people still suffer from this as well. Now you can change your sensitivity, and when you're running around not aiming down your scope, the controls seem very fine and easy to use. But when you're aiming down your scope, the dead zoning of the game seems a little bit off key to the sensitivity throughout the rest of your motion and movement. So you can see from this gameplay, if you've not noticed already, that I do struggle actually at the moment with aiming down the scope of the weapon. The dead zoning seems a little bit too sensitive at the moment. It could do with slowing down a little bit. Now as you begin the game, the weapons that you are given are allocated depending on which faction you are fighting for within that match. Now one of the key problems that I think has stayed from the alpha is I think there are some serious weapon balance issues. I say serious balance issues, about as balanced as a fat girl on a seesaw. At the moment I do think the shotguns and the sniper rifles, even with the body armor turned on, do seem a little bit overpowered compared to the assault rifles that you can see me using here, where it pretty much takes an entire magazine to kill someone. At the moment I haven't had a situation where I've been able to kill two people without having to reload a magazine, so it does have to take a full mag to burn someone down. So I do think the assault rifles could do with increasing in power a little bit, or maybe the sniper rifles and the shotguns need to be nerfed just a tad, because there is some balance issues I find with the weapons. Now this has just been my first thoughts on the game. I've only actually managed to play for about 2 hours this evening since the beta was released, so I will be coming back to you guys with a more thorough review once I've played maybe about 10-15 hours of this beta, to try and give you a more summarised and probably a little bit more in-depth review of what I think of the beta. And as I said, so far I'm not the greatest player at this game. As you can see, my gameplay's not the best, as I completely missed that guy for quite a long time there. But I thought I'd bring it to you guys anyway, just so you can see how sexy this game really does look in ultra settings, because it is a really good game, guys. That's my overall kind of opinion so far. I really am enjoying this game. There are a few little things that do need kind of ironing out, and hopefully they'll attend to those problems a little bit better than they did with Crysis 2. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed this gameplay, and I will be back to you pretty soon with a more detailed review. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.